We're back. Time for another edition, a rapid reactions edition on Zoom of the Carolina Insider, as Carolina moving on past Wagner 90-62 in the NCAA tournament. Jones and Adam here with you in our luxurious hotel rooms in Charlotte after Carolina gets the win. And Adam, look, Carolina was certainly favored to defeat Wagner. And Carolina has more talent, more size, more depth. I thought Wagner competed hard and made this competitive game. I mean, Carolina was never threatened, but they made it competitive for a while, and then eventually the Tar Heels just ran away with it. I would not say that the Tar Heels probably leave this game feeling like they played their A-plus game, but I think that's probably okay too, because you're going to need a better performance coming up on Saturday against Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it's probably true that Wagner probably played closer to their ceiling than Carolina played to Carolina's ceiling. But I think it's easier to do that when you think you might only have this one chance. If Carolina is going to get closer to its ceiling, they'll need to do that on Saturday against Michigan State. But today they had enough. It was the classic Roy Williams, more gifted and talented game in which Carolina just had better personnel and threw the ball to that personnel enough times to score a lot more points than Wagner.
Yeah, most notably, it was Armando Bacot with 20 points and 15 rebounds, and he breaks the tie with Phil Ford. He now has the second most points in Carolina history, so congratulations to him on that. His double-double is his 86th of his career. That moves him into a tie for third all-time in NCAA history and is second in ACC history behind only Tim Duncan. And it is the sixth consecutive game that Bacot's had 15 or more rebounds in an NCAA tournament game. And Adam, it was really Bacot, and RJ Davis ended up with the most points, and we'll talk about that in a second, but it was really Bacot and Jalen Withers off the bench. Withers with his second double-double of the season, 16 points and 10 rebounds, and their just sheer size and athleticism and their motor. I thought those three things, particularly with Withers, those three things added up to them just being too much for Wagner to handle in the post.
Yeah, Carolina was really intentional about getting the ball to Bacot early in the game, and you can tell that had been the scouting report, throw the ball inside. And to Carolina's credit, A, that was the scouting report, and B, they did a pretty good job of executing it throughout the game. You could tell Cormac Ryan, you mentioned this one point during the game, you could tell he was being extremely intentional about looking inside and throwing it in there if there was the slightest sliver of light in there. So Tar Heels did a good job executing, and then they go to the bench and find Withers, who really impacts the game on both ends. I think about half of his points ended up being second chance because he was so active on the offensive glass. Nice to see him have a big game in his hometown in front of a whole lot of family and friends.
Hubert Davis in the media session after the game highlighted Jalen Withers and said that he really thought the Tar Heel reserve set the tone for Carolina coming off the bench.
I felt like in the first half, at times we were out of character from the standpoint we weren't finishing the defensive possession with a rebound. When we did, we always talk about making the easy play, limiting turnovers, and I think we had 6 in the first half, and they were all unforced, but Jay Witt, his energy and effort on both ends of the floor really ignited us and got us the lead going into halftime. I mean, he came off the bench and his production was real.
So it was RJ Davis who actually led Carolina in scoring with 22. 17 of them came in the second half. And Adam, it felt like that second half offensively was closer to what the Tar Heels have been all season long, and particularly in the way that they were running the floor. They continued to try to get it down low. RJ Davis was a little more both aggressive and effective with his shots. And just that, it felt like Carolina kind of settled more into what it wanted to do offensively on a larger scale in that second half.
Yeah, you could kind of feel the offense coming to life a little bit. And Wagner made it tough because they don't want to run. They want to slow the game down quite a bit. And the Tar Heels played that way in the first half. But then finally in the second half, able to create some transition opportunities. And once they created those opportunities for the most part, able to get some baskets out of it, both from the perimeter and some exciting plays with especially that lob to Withers.
Yeah, RJ Davis, after the game, talked about Carolina's ability to get out and run in the second half. Tar Heels finished with 14 fast break points. All of them came in the second half.
The emphasis in the second half was try to get out and run, because that's a big advance for us, especially when we're playing in primary and getting easy layups. And we did a good job of, kind of turning the ball over and again, finishing easy layups. I know there was a play when I threw the ball to Elliott and then Jay Witt finished with a dunk. So those are the type of plays that we needed.
So it all adds up to a 90-62 Carolina win. The Tar Heels moving on. This will be the 19th time in the last 20 tournaments that Carolina's been involved in that they have advanced to the round of 32. And Carolina, I believe it's now 37 of the last 39 times they've won at least one game in the NCAA tournament. And Adam, it will get much tougher on Saturday. I mean, just naturally it will as you advance in the tournament, and you're facing a really good team. That's Michigan State beat Mississippi State in Charlotte before Carolina played. And I mean, I was sitting there watching it. They were impressive. They shot 50% from the floor. They hit 10 three-pointers. Tyson Walker, a veteran guard. That's going to be two of the best guards in the country. And Tyson Walker and RJ Davis going at it against one another. Obviously, Carolina's going to have to raise its level of play to have a chance to win against a well-coached and very good Michigan State team.
That 37 out of 39 stat is incredible. I think people take that for granted too much. These games aren't that easy to win. I guess they were in 1987 or something if you were a 1 playing a 16. They're not anymore. So I think that deserves more attention. Michigan State obviously is very good. The Tar Heels are going to need more from Elliott Cadeau. They can't have a performance like what they got on Thursday from their point guard, or else they're going to need to bring Seth Trimble into the game. Cadeau's going to have to be able to create some offense both for himself and for others, because Michigan State showed, I'm guessing, pretty close to what the best of Michigan State is today.
Yeah, and if not, that's not good news for the Tar Heels, because they were really impressive in beating what I think is also a very good Mississippi State team. And Michigan State controlled that game for a large majority of it. As Adam and I are talking, we still don't know the game time for that game. Those should be announced late on Thursday. Radio-wise, we'll be on the air an hour before whatever the tip-off time ends up being. And sometimes there's some funky tip-off times in the NCAA tournament. So just keep your eyes out, GoHeels.com, all the different Go Heels social channels, and we'll try to keep you up to date. Adam, anything else from you after Carolina moves past Wagner by 28?
Great Charlotte crowd at Spectrum Center for that one. Just it felt like a basketball holiday almost. Just people wandering around downtown Charlotte in their Carolina blue, and sounds like Saturday could be even more so. You got the potential to have both Carolina and Tennessee in the same session, which is two really nearby teams. So Saturday should be really fun in Charlotte and should be a really good game.
Carolina looking to move to the round of 16, and we'll have some heavy lifting to do, though, to get past Michigan State. But for today, Carolina did what it needed to do to move on to the round of 32, beating Wagner 90-62. That'll do it for us here on the Rapid Reactions edition, presented by Modelo, as always, even when we're on Zoom, the Carolina Insider.